Have you ever quit a job without another lined up for you? Mental health. How did it turn out? Hell yes. I worked in a retail store that was farming-based, but had the political atmosphere of Game of Thrones. Everyone hated each other and constantly tried to undermine one another. If you were talking to someone that someone else didn't like, it was known across the store, and suddenly, people would stop talking to you. As in, you would stand there and ask a question, and they would turn their back on you. I got zero training, got promoted to zone manager, more work with no extra pay, and then injured my foot falling off of one of their rickety wooden ladders. This caused everyone to turn on me because the store had to file a workman's comp claim. So they missed out on the annual reward, a visit to the Golden Corral buffet in January. Anyway, after about 2 weeks of mind-numbing boredom and having everyone staring daggers at me while I tried to figure out what the hell I was supposed to be doing, I just quit. Didn't give notice. Just left my badge and vest there and went to lunch and never came back. It took me a few months to find another job, but at least I was no longer alternating between openly weeping and feeling physically nauseous. Imagine being that emotionally invested in an annual trip to Golden Corral. That's how you know you have nothing left. God, that is making me legit depressed. Quit my job at a call center without anything lined up. I used to cry in my car before a shift. Used up all my sick days, and it worsened my suicidal thoughts, so I got myself out of there when I couldn't take it anymore. I quietly stood up from my desk and quit on the spot. I had never walked out on a job before. It took me a month to find the other job with just slightly less hours, so a little less money. But it was worth it because I'm a lot better mentally and physically. And I like the job. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Edit. Thank you for all the kind words. I'm a young professional now and am finishing up an extension program to further my degree. Life's good at the moment. Life has its ups and downs. It's just part of the grind. Also, people have been asking where I'm from. I'm Canadian. Your situation sounds a lot like my last job I had. This was in 2014. I've told this story before, but basically I was super depressed and was contemplating bad things. One day I broke down into a crying mess to my wife and we talked through it. We came to an agreement that I would quit my job and be a stay-at-home dad, and she would go back to working full-time. I had a side business doing web design, and with my mental health in check I was able to get back into it. We struggled a bit at first with a pay cut, but I was able to bring in some projects and bridge that gap within a few months. In 2017 my wife was able to quit her job and come help me with the business. In October last year we started a second business doing VoIP phone systems, and networking, surveillance systems, hardware and software procurement, etc. In May this year I nailed down a couple of huge contracts and hired 2 guys on full-time. Edit. That's a lot of updates for my comment. Would like to say a few things while I'm making an edit. 1. If you ever find yourself contemplating self-harm, please speak to someone about it. You matter to someone, even if you feel like nobody cares. 2. If you have a dream to run your own business, do it. Note that businesses fail, and while I've managed to have some success, it wasn't without its struggles and a lot of hard work. 3. I love my wife very much, and I am very grateful for her support. We're in this together. Worked a call center job after 1 week of training and 2 days of actual work. During the training you're shown how it's not possible to order a free trial of these expensive products without seeing the clearly marked, in multiple locations, terms and conditions. But then I got to the floor and these people were old people who were offered a free gift when they bought something on Amazon. They never went to a website and ordered a free trial. They were lied to and then charged $80 plus 3 weeks later. It was a scam built to prey on old people. I had a panic attack on the way to work and quit when I arrived. Fuck that noise. Edit. I missed the part asking how it turned out. Sorry. I was a new mom and we were really hurting for money. That was my first job after having my son, and we had to beg money off relatives to stay afloat. Another month until I found a new job which was much better. I was able to be hired as a substitute for a school district in. A month later, get rehired by the same district as a teacher's aide. Now I'm about to finish my certification and become a teacher. Good for you. Having integrity is important, even if you need an hourly wage. Some asshat owned that company and made many millions off old and unsuspecting victims. Yep, my mental health is still not good, and now I'm broke. Left my job of 15 years with nothing lined up because it was gaining me nothing anymore aside from being overused for my job knowledge with no reward. Took a month off. Found another job that pays me more per hour than my last after I got promoted to supervisor after putting in 5 months. Couldn't be happier. Hell yeah, know your worth, king, queen. I quit after an argument with my boss because I didn't agree with how he did things. Within 2 months I started my own company doing what he did but the way I thought it should be done. I am still running that business and he shut his down 3 years ago. Pro revenge there. The best revenge is living good. Congrats on your successful business. Yes, I had a job that I love. Had coworkers I love. I'm still friends with some. Ownership changed. My job that was AMF 9 to 5 somehow turned into on-call all the time. My workload was always heavy. Got added on to. I would say no to additional workload. It somehow still ended up on my plate. Somewhere around a year after the ownership change, I found myself Googling heart attack and mental breakdown symptoms because I knew something wasn't right. I finally walked into work one day and handed in my notice. No job lined up, didn't think it through. I wrote up my notice 5 minutes before I left for work that day. Due to bills, I ended up taking a job I was overqualified for, and made crap for pay. But after a few months I got hired to where I am now. I do the same type of job as the one I walked away from, monsieur. Did it work out for me? I'd like to say yes, but only time will tell. I will say both myself and my family are much happier right now. And I haven't wondered if I'm having a mental breakdown or possible heart attack since I left. That's a win. I got bored of my life in the UK and sick of my job. So I quit and got a one-way ticket to Australia to start a new life. How did it work out? Great. Stayed for a year, then quit my job and got a one-way ticket to Japan. How do you deal with setup costs? It wasn't that expensive. I stayed with a maid in Australia for the first few months, then got a job. In Japan I lived in a really cheap share house before getting a work permit and finding a job. Are you still in Japan or did you book a one-way ticket somewhere else? Still here. I've settled down now and bought a home, although I do go back to the UK once or twice a year. I quit my job of a year and a half out of anger and spite for my manager. And because of my quickly declining mental health. While it helped at first, the anxiety of not having a steady source of income took a much larger toll on me than anticipated, and I really didn't get to focus on my recovery therapy for my mental health until I had secured a new job to quell my anxieties. Pretty similar experience, unless the person is being specifically abusive. I've now learned to just deal with jobs I don't like. And by deal, I mean meditate before work, seeing a counselor when it feels too big, having things outside of work that bring me joy, not expecting my job to bring happiness, eating correctly, etc. Good luck up. Hope you're alright. Yes, I quit a very high-paying job. In fact, I was a software engineer. It was at first I liked my coworkers. And the company was one of those startups that had a ping pong table and cold brew coffee on tap and all that jazz. It was my first job out of college and I was dazzled by the cool community feel and all the amenities. However, they had no system in place to train me. I was basically expected to just read the codebase and just instantly know exactly what to do. My team leader couldn't answer my questions, and I quickly started drowning in work. My once recreational drug use turned habitual. I was railing lines of coke in the bathroom to stay awake because I stayed until 9 p.m. trying to finish projects by the deadline and doing benzos at night to fall asleep. Once I finally started performing well, that only reinforced my terrible habits. I thought that if I stopped self-medicating, I would fall behind and they would fire me. I cried every day. I was also the only female employee on the software team, and I got these paranoid thoughts in my head that my male coworkers didn't really like me. In retrospect, I'm sure my alienation was totally my fault and a result of my anxiety. I didn't even like the programming anymore. When I was in college, I interned with people who were using software to help charities, uncover bogus statistics, and generally lift up communities. My job was nothing like that. The people there acted like they were curing cancer, but the majority of what we did boiled down to helping huge companies build training platforms that were more hip and cool. So I quit. Not just that job, but the whole field. I had started abusing harder drugs as well, and I knew I was going to end up killing myself. I went to rehab, and then I went back to school and got my master's degree in education with a focus in mathematics. I'm a private tutor and a substitute teacher now. I hope to get my PhD one day. But for now I am happy helping young people realize their dreams. I set my own schedule so that I'm able to pursue my passions. Volunteering at a children's hospital, tutoring sick kids that need to miss school, and helping young women from local battered women's shelters and homeless shelters learn graphic design and programming so that they can have valuable marketable job skills. I'm 2 years clean from drugs and I have the most wonderful friends and a perfect kitty. I am so happy I quit my job, even though people thought I was insane for leaving the tech field. And I'm sure my mom's friends talk shit about me behind her back. I'm glad I didn't pay them any mind. This is the one I'm going to end with because it made me the happiest. You are amazing for turning your life around in a way to help others. Also, your old job sounded exactly like the place I was about to apply to out of desperation. Hard pass. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.